All right. So welcome everybody. Happy Sunday. Happy May Day. First day of May.
That's what I said to the birds today.
That's right. Happy May Day. Happy Beltane, if you are of that persuasion. That is the Celtic holiday or the pagan holiday of celebrating the day. And my thought for you, I've been working a lot this week on, or playing with the idea this week of how important it is to remember that as yogis or as people who are in a spiritual path, on a spiritual path, always, most of us, diligently trying to follow all the rules, right, of a spiritual path, is to remember, is to remember that just because you are enmeshed in that or doing your best to try and be that person, right, be the pinnacle or the epitome of the person that you think that you can be, is that doesn't mean that you're not going to have a bad day. Right? And it doesn't mean that you're not going to have the moments where you completely fuck up. You say the things that you wish you hadn't said. You do the things that you wish you hadn't done. You have the days where you don't want to be nice or kind or compassionate. You just don't want to, right? And that none of that is indication that we're not doing our practice right. None of that is an indication that there's something wrong in what we're doing with our spiritual path or with our spiritual practice. In fact, it's those moments when you recognize that the spiritual path is meant to give you a framework to go through those moments well, right? To go through those moments skillfully. And that if we use yoga or we use any spiritual tradition to convince ourselves that what we're doing every day when we're trying our best, if we convince ourselves that when we're trying our best, it's never good enough, then the practice has become the opposite of what it's meant to be, right? Whole purpose of what we do with the spiritual practice is to uncover the depth of who we are. And that means that you have to take those moments where your anger is so big and say, this is part of who I am. And when your feelings, whatever they happen to be, are so big, you take that and say, this is part of who I am. And we don't have to let them run rampant in the world. But when we come to that realization, right, that whatever's going on in us is deeply who we are, it's enmeshed in who we are, then we're able to actually relax into the skillful way of taking what's inside of us and moving through the world, right? So this is our practice, is to realize that on your worst day, right, on the day when you think you are doing the worst and you have no idea if you are doing, quote, anything right, you're doing this practice right, is that nothing is wrong. You're having a bad day. You're having a rough day. Maybe that rough day has lasted for 30 years, but you're having a rough day, right? And it doesn't mean that your trying isn't good enough. That's the big thing, the big takeaway, right? It doesn't mean that your effort has no meaning. It doesn't mean that whatever is happening as the result of your trying, because it's not acting the way that you want it to, it doesn't mean that it's not still good. It just hasn't finished yet. Right. So I think there's a great thing in this holiday or right in this moment of Beltane, May Day, right? It's one of those old traditions, right? As people would like leap over fires and stuff like that. Beltane, that's the big thing, is you leap over a fire with somebody. And that's your, partner for the day. But it's a celebration of ecstasy, right? The celebration of that explosion of life that is spring, right? Coming back to that explosion of life. And that's really what our practice is for, because if we're no longer judging everything we do and everything we think and everything that happens through that lens of it's never going to be good enough, then we can start to feel that ecstasy about our regular life, right? We can start to be excited about whatever we are attempting or whatever we're trying. And we can even have those moments where we're actually really okay with our anger and our sadness and our disappointment and whatever else is there. We can be okay with it. And that's the practice, right? That is the end result of a diligent practice. It's not that things are the way you want it to be, but that you know yourself so deeply, and not through your mind, right? Not the way your mind thinks you should be, but you know yourself so deeply that there's nothing in you that scares you anymore, right? So comfortable seat, that's what we're practicing for, is to no longer be scared of who we are, but to find every piece of ourselves as part of that experience of ecstasy. Right, the ecstatic state of being really enlivened by our experience, even when that enlivenment feels like that rising emotion, that we don't want to name. My suggestion is, if that's the case, don't name it. Just feel it. So with the eyes closed, let yourself settle into your breath. Let your mind cycle through every failure that you've had today and this week and this month and this year, and this decade. Right? And the failures are going to be maybe big ones, but it's also going to be the small ones. I really meant to do this today and I failed. I really wanted to be this person today and I failed. Just for a moment, let your mind cycle through that. And then feel your seat underneath you. And let your mind also realize that with all of that failure, you're still here. And this breath, this one that you're in right now, is the only one that matters. So we try again. Maybe we try from a different angle. Maybe eventually we realize that we thought failures were just successes that didn't need to happen. Or success came in a different way. Ecstasy does not mean just pure excitement or joy. It means finding excitement in all things. So breathe in your disappointment. Breathe out that ecstasy that, thank God, I get to try again. That's the ecstasy. I get to try again. Nothing is ruined. One more full deep breath in. As you exhale, bring the hands together in front of your heart center. Rub your palms like you're going to set them on fire. We always say in yoga, the yogic tradition, that fire is that representation of anything that you really want to shed, that you think you're done with, that you'd like to be transformed. You throw it into the fire. Bless you. So rub your hands fast, 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 fast. And then steady the hands at your heart. Feel the heat. And in that flame that is at the heart, we call it the Jiva Atman, offer whatever in your mind, all those failures, offer it up. I don't need to carry that sense of failure. Just offer it up so it can be transformed. And you don't have to know what it'll be transformed into. That infinite creativity will make something so much cooler than you will come up with. Let that flame of the heart get a little bigger, a little brighter, and let your mind soften. Sound of Om, deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands, please. Then go ahead and find your way onto hands and knees. See, I told you Sarah would get here. Hands and knees, please. Start to cat and cow. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Start to move with your breath. Inhaling, letting the spine get nice and long as you drop through the belly, stretch through the belly. And then exhale, curling and rounding as you pull up and in through that low place of your rib cage. Draw up and in. And then keep moving with the breath, inhaling to extend, exhaling, finding that curling and rounding up into the back body. Nice, you guys. Good. We say often that our mind can be either our greatest friend or our greatest enemy because it's the one that holds that judgmental power. And it is a huge part of our practice, especially when we want so badly to be the best person that we can possibly be, to work with that part of the mind that is always going to hold us to an unreasonable, unattainable standard. It's a crazy thing, a radical thing, but a necessary thing to see that your life is a success, because guess what? You're still here. So even if you think you've been making a mess of it, you're still here. Each breath, thank God I get to try again. And yesterday doesn't matter, this breath matters. Good. Nice, you guys. Find your way to stillness, please. Stretch the right arm out wide to the right. Slide that arm behind your left wrist. Right shoulder finds the floor, so you're threading the needle. Walk your left arm forward in front of you. Turn your gaze to the left. Good. Nice, you guys. And then press through that right forearm. So really push down into the floor. Press down into your shins. Yeah, feel that moment of really using the resistance of the floor to find more rotation through the rib cage. Nice. And then for a moment, if you don't have a lot of weight on your head here, stretch your left arm straight up towards the sky. If you do have a lot of weight on your head, keep your hand on the ground. Just keep pushing into the fingertips. Good. If your arm is reaching up, turn your palm to face backwards, bend the elbow, reach around to find that outer edge of your right hip. Nice. And then push your right hip in towards that hand. Yeah, so you're actually widening. That's it. Nice, you guys. And then stretch that left arm back up to the sky, unwind, release the hand down to the floor, come back up onto hands and knees. Walk both hands straight forward in front of you, so you're coming into a modified downward facing dog. So knees are still underneath the hips. Good. Walk the hands out. You want to feel that full long extension on your shoulders. And then come up on your fingertips. Maybe separate your hands a little wider. Good. Still press down into your shins, so you feel that little lift of your low belly up off of your thighs. Nice. And then pressing into your fingers, drag back on the armpit. So drag the arm bones in, lift the top of your head towards your fingers just a little bit more. Really drag back. Keep dragging back on the hands. So you don't lose that action. Good. Let your hips lift even higher. Nice. Then let your heart melt towards the floor. So your armpits don't move, but your heart melts. Yeah, like you're moving towards Anahadasana. Good. And then walk yourself all the way back up and in, hands underneath the shoulders. Take your left arm out wide to the left. Slide that arm behind your right wrist. Left shoulder finds the floor. Thread the needle the opposite way. Walk that right arm forward in front of you. Again, press into both shins equally. And everybody push your left hip a little wider to the left. You got to do that little swivel of your hips to find neutral. Good. And then you're pushing into that left arm that's on the floor. So instead of letting your weight fall into it, push into it so that you have some muscular energy moving through that arm up into the shoulder. And then take the right arm up to the sky. Again, if you have a lot of pressure on your head, keep that hand on the floor. And then turn that right hand back, turn the palm back, reach around for the outer left hip. And then again, push that left hip a little wider towards that left hand. Nice, guys. Good. One more breath. You're still lifting through that right side rib cage. Press into your shins. Good. Unwind the arm back up towards the sky. And then reach down, press the floor away, come back up onto hands and knees. Walk your hands forward again, both hands into that modified downward facing dog. Let your hands go a little wider. Good. Because I guarantee whatever your suspicion is for what is shoulder width is that your shoulders are wider than that. So let your hands go wider. Good. Up on your fingertips, please. In this long extended position, do cat and cow. So as you press into your fingertips, inhale, lift the heart forward towards your thumbs, then exhale, curl and round. Good. Press into your shins. If you let all of your weight fall into your hands here, it's going to feel very difficult to find the length of your spine. So press into your shins. Nice. Good, you guys. Right? Finding ecstasy in all things, or knowing that every part of your experience is what makes that feeling of whole body excitement, right? Whole self excitement. We don't want it to be in our mind that idea that it's always this extreme high that's going to come down with a crashing low. The ecstasy doesn't mean that you have to be depressed afterwards. Ecstasy just means that you really feel, even if it's just for an instant, a complete excitement about who you are and the life that you're living. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Finding that neutral spine. Drag back on the armpits again. So really feel that pulling backwards through the hands. Lift the back of the throat just a little bit more. Keep that low belly lifted, but start to melt the heart down towards the floor. Keep dragging the arms back, though, so you don't get that hunching towards your shoulders. So the heart begins to melt, belly begins to drop, but you're keeping that lift of your hip points. Don't let your hips move back to your heels. This is dropping the heart to the floor, forehead to the floor. Yeah, doesn't matter how low you go or not. Nice, Heidi. Nice, Jane. Good. Come all the way back up, please. Hands underneath the shoulders. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, come into downward facing dog. Yeah. Pressing through the heels of the hands and the knuckles of the hands. So let more of your weight move towards the front edge of your hands. Squeeze your forearms towards each other. Bend your elbows just a little bit. Good. As you bend your elbows, again, squeeze those forearms like crazy. And then from your lower armpits, pull your shoulder blades up towards your hips. Good. Now take the tops of your thighs back more. Let your heels soften towards the floor. Yeah. Lift the back of your throat and just feel that awesome feeling that is happening between your shoulder blades. Yeah. Breathe deep into that space behind the heart. Good. And then step the right foot forward between the hands, please. Lunge. Good. Drop the back knee. Use a blanket there if you'd like. Inhale, both arms to the sky. Anjaneyasana. Nice. The arms come up. Take the arms out wide to cactus arms. Let your elbows spin slightly forward. That's it. And then again, as though you're pushing your hands into an invisible wall. Push into heavy air. Or push into that imaginary resistance. So you have a feeling of pushing through your hands. Good. And then lift the chest a little higher. Nice, nice, nice. Draw the low belly in and up. Let your throat fall back. Even more, even more. Really good, you guys. Heart to the sky. And then stretch the arms straight alongside your ears. Let the hands stay as wide as they want to stay. Feel that squeeze at the lower tip of your shoulder blades, not just at your hands. Good. And then come all the way back up, please. Release the hands down to the floor. Lift your back knee, please. Good. And then without moving your back foot, just start to straighten your front leg. Use blocks underneath the hands if you need. Good. So as the back leg comes straight, turn that left hip forward a lot. Good. Scoop the belly, pull the hips as high as you can. And then drop your head, drop your heart towards that front leg. Good. Press through the big toe mound of the right foot. Nice, nice, nice. Pull the hips up, 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 up. Awesome, you guys. And then bend the right knee again, bringing the knee over the ankle. Keep the back knee up. Inhale the arms to the sky, high lunge. Nice. Bring your hands back behind your head, interlace your fingers, and then squeeze the elbows towards each other, and then pull those elbow tips down towards the floor. Good. So they squeeze in towards your ears and then down. And then start to lift your heart up towards the sky, pressing the back of your head into your hands. Nice. Keep that squeeze of the elbows. Heart higher, heart higher, heart higher. Good. Again, you want to feel that lift from behind your heart, straight up through the sternum. Nice, Harriet. And then stretch the arms alongside your ears again. Reach all the way back until you touch the wall behind you. I know if you're at home, your wall might be really far away. Good. Come all the way back up, navel to spine. Really nicely done. Release the hands down to the floor, please. Good. Take both hands inside that front foot. Please make circles with your right hip. Hip circles. Nice, you guys. Big circles, little circles. Big circles. Really good. The more we start to erase those feelings, or we dissolve those boundaries between what we think is us doing a good job and us doing a terrible job, we realize that every day what we're doing is just living. And that whatever happens in your day is not up to you. But the experience of living is doing what you can with what's presented. It doesn't mean getting pre-described results. It means that whatever results are there, you do what you can with them. That becomes the source of ecstasy. Come back to stillness, please. Keep the hands inside the front foot. Walk to your left till you come to the center of your mat. Straighten your legs. Prasarita Padottanasana. Nice, guys. Hold opposite elbows for a moment. Let your body hang, the upper body. Good. So you're squeezing your feet towards each other. And then even here, let yourself draw into that space behind the heart. So the shoulder blades start to squeeze towards each other. Good, so no hands on the floor, but lift and lengthen your spine as though you're in downward facing dog. You're like, how the heck do I do that? Figure it out. Lift from the armpits, lift from the back of your heart. Get that length happening. And then again, soften. Yeah. Nice, you guys. And now release the hands down to the floor, please. Take your right hand to your outer left ankle or shin. And if reaching the foot is not a possibility, just plant that hand anywhere that is left of center. And then take the left arm up to the sky. Good. So you're reaching to the right, but now pull the back of your head. Sorry, yeah, you're reaching towards the left foot. Pull the back of the head towards the right foot. Good. Curl into your low belly. Nice, you guys. Release that hand down to the floor. Come back to center. And then left hand outer right ankle or shin. Take the right arm up to the sky. Good. And again, push wide to the left hip and draw the head towards the upper left-hand corner of the mat, back towards that left foot. Good. So you're reaching to the right, but pull back to the left. Nice, nice, nice. Great, you guys. Release that hand down to the floor. Please come back to center. Take your hands to your hips. Come all the way up to stand. Turn your right toes forward towards the top of the mat. Bend that knee. Come into warrior two. Stretching the arms out wide. And then turn your palms to face up. Good. Bring the tips of the fingers to the tops of your shoulders. Start to make little circles with the elbows. Yeah, I'm in one of those modes today where we're just going to spend half the class on one side and then see what happens if I can remember what to do on the second side. It's a game I play. Good. Press into your front foot here because you've totally forgotten about your legs because you're doing a thing with your arms. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Nice. Elbows lift just a little bit higher and then soften the tops of the shoulders, right? So as you lift the elbows, the shoulders might come up too. So keep the elbows elevated, but drop through the top ridge of the shoulders. Nice. Now stretch the arms out and wide. Beautiful. Extend that right arm forward towards the front of your mat like you're coming into Trikonasana. Extend, extend, extend. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. That's it, Jane. Nice melody. Keep going. Nice, Marjorie. You got it. Keep going. A little further, Kristen. Good, Laura. Beautiful. Now start to straighten your right thigh. Yeah. And let that hand drop down to Trikonasana. Hooray. You made it. Good. Draw your rib cage back and in, please. And then draw your throat back. Excellent. Nice, you guys. And then bend that right knee again, please. Stretching the left arm over the ear, come into side angle. You can always slide that right arm up onto the front thigh if you need or onto a block. Beautiful. And then release both hands down to the floor. Spin your back heel up. Step back to downward facing dog. Deep breath in, feel your hips pull really high towards the sky, and then exhale, drop the heels towards the floor, and also feel that settling behind your heart. Yeah, nice, you guys. And then come forward to plank pose, upward push-up. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Beautiful. On your belly, point your toes, stretch your arms, reaching back towards your feet, not for your feet, just towards your feet, palms facing down. And then pressing through the front edge of your pubis bones, the lower part of the pelvis, press down and forward, and then start to lift your legs up off the floor. Good. Now bringing yourself into that middle rib cage, curl and round just a little bit, and now lift head, neck, and chest. Feel your sternum pulling towards the top of your mat. Hug your shins, not your butt. Nice, nice, nice. Float the arms up as well if they're not already. Palms stay facing down, and let the hands go just a little wider away from the upper body. Awesome. Now for a breath, bend both knees, keep your heels in. Do not reach for your feet, but reach your arms higher as though you're going to reach for your feet. Squeeze those forearms towards each other. Good. Kick those thighs higher and squeeze your knees. And now slowly release. Beautiful. Plant your hands, press up the hands and knees. Child's pose.
What are they doing over there? Why are you mad?
I'm not mad. But already this this morning I've had to calm at least 3 toddler meltdowns and almost a husband meltdown.
Let go my ego.
Yes. God, don't even bring up the waffles.
I'm sorry.
No. But I earned another mom merit badge yesterday. The one where I was the mom who had to wrestle my screaming toddler out of the car because she would not leave the car. It's okay. She had fun, but I had to actually wrestle her out. One more deep breath. This is life though, right? So that can either be the moment where you think like, man, what a disaster. What a failure that I have to wrestle my child screaming out of a car while other people are watching and listening and judging. Or I could look at it as this was her going through a moment, which I remember being a kid, going through those moments of really big fear, really big resistance to the life that's in front of you. So what's my job is to be there with her in that messy, ridiculous moment where I can't let her cry and stay in the car forever. Not an option. And also it doesn't matter, right? What's going on outside of that matters, am I there for her? The same thing. Who are you here for in this life? It's not for all those people out there, those imaginary people, right? You're here for you, and you're here for the people who are immediately in front of you. And if we remember that, then we let go of some of that judgment. Walk yourself back up onto hands and knees. Come back to downward facing dog. Let's see if I can remember what I did. I know that you'll help. Good. Step the left foot forward between the hands, lunge. Good. Drop that back knee. Use a blanket if you'd like. Anjaneyasana. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Good. So you're pressing through the front heel. Make sure that the weight of your pelvis is forward of the back knee. So you want to have that feeling of the stretch in the back thigh, and you want to have that feeling of having to push down through your front heel. So you have to actually really engage the back of the thigh. Nice, you guys. And now take your hands back behind you, please. Interlace your fingers. Shrug your shoulders up towards your ears. Hug the upper arms. So chest goes up super high with your elbows still bent. So don't push your ribs forward. Pull your ribs in. And now lift your sternum higher like you're doing fish pose. So sternum up, sternum up, sternum up, sternum up. Good. Now maintain that. Start to stretch your arms any amount towards straight. Still interlacing the fingers if you can. Don't let the ribs pop forward. And then with the throat moving back, move your hands up and back as though you were going to reach for your back heel with them. Good. So those hands are still interlaced, but don't pull them down. Pull them up and back. Good. Sternum up, sternum up, sternum up. That's it. And then come all the way back up, arms to the sky, please. Deep breath. And then exhale, release hands down to the floor. You got it. Lift the back knee, please. Without moving that back foot, start to straighten your front leg. Use blocks underneath the hands. Good. Turn that right hip forward a lot. That's it. Scoop into your belly. So you're still trying to really pull the hips as high as you can here. Good, good, good. Squeeze the feet towards each other. Pull those hips up, 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 up. That's it. Nice, you guys. And excuse me, now relax your head. Let your heart melt towards that front leg. Yeah, just a little bit goes a long way. Awesome, awesome. One more breath. Turn that right hip forward. Press through the big toe mound of your left foot. And then bend the left knee, please, back over the ankle. Inhale, both arms to the sky. High lunge. You got it, you got it. Good. And then take the hands back behind you again, interlace your fingers, shrug the shoulders up, hug the upper arms, and again, pull your rib cage in and lift your pelvic bones up, drop your tail. Good. And now sternum up, sternum up, sternum up with the elbows bent, find a little bit of the back bend, and now start to straighten the arms again, any amount. Good. And lift those hands up and back towards the back heel. Good. Keep the ribs in, keep your front knee over the front ankle. You're still on a high lunge. That's it. And then release the hands, stretch the arms up to the sky, deep breath, heart to the sky, reach to the wall behind you. Yeah. And then exhale, release, both hands come down to the floor. Take the hands inside the front foot, start to make circles with that hip. Really, this sequence is a lot. As I'm saying it, I'm like, man, it's a lot. Keep going. It's a lot. One of the reasons why kirtan works, right? Just a segue for your mind, right? Kirtan works, if you've never done it, it's devotional chanting or ecstatic chanting, but it works to create that sensation because you just don't stop, right? You don't let your mind get in the way of, well, am I saying it right? Or am I doing it right? Or is this feeling or that feeling? You just keep doing it. And everything that is in you and everything that is your experience becomes part of that chanting. Come back to stillness, please. Walk your hands to the right, come to the center of your mat, turn your toes, Prasarita Padottanasana. Let yourself bow deeply, hold opposite elbows, maybe sway from side to side if that feels good. Maybe let your knees bend if that feels good. But this is the thing, right? Is the ecstasy of that practice is not from just the chanting. It's because while your mind is engaged in that one activity repetitively, it draws everything else into it. And that creates the ecstasy. So we can have that same thing in our life if our mind is not pulling us apart in so many different ways. And again, even if I'm saying it, don't take it as a, oh man, my mind is always pulling me apart. My mind is a mess. Everybody's mind does this. But this is why we practice, is to not follow all of that tugging. Not get invested in it. Release the hands down towards the floor, please. Good, walk your hands forward in front of you. And I can't believe I have to say it, watch your neighbor's butt in front of you. So happy to get to say that. Like a wide-legged downward facing dog. And then keep that left hand planted, reach your right hand for your left ankle. So you're coming into that twist again, but more in that down dog sensation. You can also be up on that left, on those left fingertips if you choose. Good. And again, the idea here is that if you are pulling yourself towards that left leg, reach the back of your heart towards the right. Yeah. And then release back to center, both hands in front of you. Take the left hand to the outer right ankle or shin. Nice, Emily. You got to turn your heart there, right? This is not very much of a twist if you don't actually turn from your waist. Nice, Nancy. You got it. Good, Maral. Good, you guys. Pressing into right fingertips. Move the back of your head towards that left foot. Nice, Laura. Nice. And then slowly release. Walk the hands back in underneath your shoulders. Take your hands to your hips and come up to stand. Turn your left toes forward towards the top of your mat. Bend the knee, come into warrior two. Stretch your arms out wide. Good. Turn your palms to face up. Bring the tips of your fingers to the tops of your shoulders. Circle your elbows in the other direction from what you did before. And if you can't remember, whatever your instinct is, do the opposite. Good. Nice, guys. And don't just do this as a weird thing that I told you to do. Actually try and feel, right, the full rotation of the shoulder, especially where it's sticky. Good. Front knee is still over the front ankle. Don't forget about that. Nice. Come back to stillness, please. Lift the elbows slightly higher so they're really in line with the armpits, and then drop the top ridge of the shoulders down. Good. Stretch the arms out wide. And now extend out through your left ribs like you're reaching towards the middle of the room. Reach, 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 like you're going into triangle, but your knee is bent so you can really go far. Nice. Now, while you're reaching out, start to straighten that front thigh like you're coming into triangle, because you are. And then let that left hand touch down, right arm to the sky. Trikonasana. Let your head fall back, let your shoulders move back. Press through that big toe mound of the front foot. Nice, you guys. Who are you in this life for? Who are you performing for that you have to judge whether you're doing it right or wrong? Who do you have to prove that you're good enough to? Lost the preposition there. Bend that left knee again, please. Stretch the right arm over your ear. Come into side angle pose. Again, you can always slide the left hand up onto a block or the front thigh. Good. Squeeze the feet towards each other. Send that front knee deep over the ankle. Take it there. That's it. Nice, you guys. And then release both hands down to the floor. Please spin your back heel up. Step back to downward facing dog. Yeah. Press into your hands. Feel that little lift of below your rib cage or the low part of your rib cage, and feel the heart soften again. Let your shoulders go wide. Nice. Full deep breath in. I know you want to escape downward facing dog really badly right now. Take one more full breath. And then mindfully take your knees down to the floor, come into child's pose. A conscious release, not a mistake. Nice, guys. The beauty is that with this breath that you're in right now, you get to try again. Live your ecstatic life means that you get to experience all of yourself, the parts that are wild and untamable, the ones that are oriented towards destruction, the ones that want to love too hard and in all the wrong ways, the ones that are really scared, the parts of you that also know how to experience just enjoyment. And those are maybe the parts that you don't talk to enough. I promise whatever you have done or haven't done in the last decade, you're not doing it wrong. I know that because you're here. That's all that matters. Take another breath. Thank God I get to try again. Walk yourself back up onto hands and knees, please. Downward facing dog. Don't cry about down dog. Cry about anything else you want. Good. And then step your right foot forward between the hands, please. Left foot comes forward to meet it. Standing forward fold. That bow deeply. Nice. And then bend your knees, please. Stretch your arms alongside your ears. Come into chair. Utkatasana. Pressing into your left foot to bring your weight into that left foot, come up on the ball of your right foot. Good. And then hover that right foot up off the floor just for a breath. And then bring the right ankle on top of your left thigh into a cross-legged chair. And send your butt back a lot. Fold through that thigh crease. Good. Feel the weight settling into your standing heel. Flex both feet. The foot on the ground. Flex it. There you go. Now take your hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers at the low spine. Shrug the shoulders up. Hug the upper arms. And then stretch those arms towards straight. Don't let your ribs pop forward. Good. Send your butt back. Yeah. And bow just a little bit deeper towards that front thigh. Nice, Alana. And then release the hands to the floor, please. Start to straighten the left leg and then bring the right foot to the outside of the left foot. So you're in a standing forward fold with the ankles crossed. Press into both feet. Lift that right hip and low belly a little wider. Good. You can always have blocks underneath the hands if you need. Nice, Dina. Nice, Becca. Good. One more deep breath. Send your hips high to the sky. Good. And then unwind your feet, please, taking them back underneath the hips. Bend both knees a lot. Come back to chair. Stretch the arms up alongside your ears. Good. And now you're bringing your weight into your right foot and letting the ball of the foot of the left foot just stay for a moment. Hover for a second, so lift it. Hover. And then bring that left ankle on top of your right thigh. Come to cross-legged chair on the other side. Nice, Laura. Good, Meredith. Nice, Maral. Good, Mia. Really good, Nancy. Good. Stretch your arms, reaching back behind you. Interlace your fingers. Good. So I want you to really focus here on getting your chest to pull forward, but your butt to pull back. Yeah. Nice. And now start to bow forward any amount, bringing your chest towards that front leg, but keep sending your butt back.
Really good. Nice. Release the hands to the floor, please, or blocks. Start to straighten that right leg. Take your left ankle in front of your right. So you're in a standing forward fold with the ankles crossed. And again, here you've got to lift and widen that left low belly. Nice. Good. Pull your hips up towards the sky and fold through your waist. Let your chest drop. Yeah. What matters here the most is how much you are pulling up and back through your sit bones. Good. Unwind your ankles, please. Feet underneath the hips. Nice job. Separate your feet as wide as your mat. Bend both knees. Drop your thighs parallel to the floor. Good. Move your hips back in space so your knees are not in front of your ankles. And then walk your hands inside and behind your feet. So start to walk back behind your feet. So you're walking underneath yourself almost. So stretch your hands back. Good. And now pressing into your feet, keep your hands where they are. Start to straighten your legs. Push your hips up towards the sky. Good. Keep scooping your belly. Push your hips up. Nice. Good, you guys. And then bend the knees again. Press your butt back. Lift the top of your sternum forward. So your hands are still behind your heels, but now lift the top of your chest. So again, it's like you're trying to create that down dog sensation. Good. And now keep the belly scooped. Stretch your hips back up towards the sky. Keep your hands where they are if you can. You can even hold behind the ankle if you need the feeling of hanging on to something. Good. And then walk your hands forward in front of you, please. Keep them there. Turn your feet wide. And then start to bend your knees, curling into your belly like you're going to take your hips down to the floor and squat, but you're not going to come all the way down. You're going to get just to that half an inch before you're in your full squat. And then press into your feet and start to take your hips back up towards the sky. Straighten your legs again. You know, I did this in class yesterday and they all really loved it. Bend your knees wide again, like you're dropping your hips towards the floor, scooping into your belly. So keep the legs really active. Keep dropping your hips. And then start to straighten the legs again. Good. So it's like every time I'm about to say come into squat, the last second I say, just kidding. One more time, bend your knees wide like you're coming into squat. Keep dropping your pelvis, keep dropping your hips, keep lifting your heart. Your hands are on the ground. Don't worry about your balance. Good. And now bring your hands to your heart center, full squat pose. Yeah. Keep your legs awake like you just did, right? Because usually we come into squat and we're like, dump into my groins, dump into my thigh creases. Let my weight fall towards the floor. I'll deal with the consequences later. One more deep breath, chest up. Awesome. And then take hands to the floor, take your hips down to the floor, gracefully back to your seat. Good. Stretch the legs out in front of you. Flex the feet. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Interlace your fingers, press the heels of the hands all the way up. And then as you exhale, curl into the lowest part of your belly and reach like you're going to hook your hands around your feet. So extend as far as you can. Press down through your heels, but extend. Good. And then release the hands to come to rest wherever they come to rest. So maybe it's reaching for the feet, maybe it's alongside the legs. Good. Nice, you guys. And then walk yourself all the way back up. Nice job. Bend your knees, please. And take your feet in front of you. So come up on your tippy toes. So almost like you're going to prepare for boat, but you're not quite coming into boat. Have a little separation between the knees. Stretch the arms out in front of you, palms together. Lean back just a little bit, again, like you're preparing for boat. So you're balancing on your sit bones, toes just touching the floor. And then take a little twist to your right. Good. And then come back to center. And then take a little twist to your left. And then back to center. Little twist to your right. What's that? Yeah, you can do the Charlie's Angels thing if you like. To the left and center. And to the right and center. And to the left and center. Turning your whole waist here. So you're doing little side crunches here. Little twisting crunches. Good. Just keep alternating, coming back to center, keeping no real weight in your feet. Your feet are just there to kind of counterbalance. Keep your shoulders drawn in. Good. Keep going. 30,000 more. Keep going. To the right. And to the left. Good. 2 more each side. I'm not even counting, so I don't know how many that is. So if you're like, that doesn't make any sense, doesn't matter. Good. As you come back to center, pause. Stretch the arms just straight out here. Let yourself go just a tiny bit closer towards the floor. Curl into that low belly. Hollow. Hollow, hollow, hollow. Hold. Pull those arm bones up and in. Chest up. Yeah. If you're shaking, you're doing it right. And then come all the way back up. Ay, ay, ay. Bottoms of the feet together, knees wide. I know. The good news is the class will end eventually. Inhale the arms to the sky. Press down through the baby toes, please. Give a little squeeze of your knees up so you feel that rooting down through your sit bones. And then lean forward, stretch forward, extend forward. Far, 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 as far as you can go. That's perfect. And then let your hands touch down to the floor, please. Good. Keep your baby toes pressing down, but let that squeezing of the knees soften. Nice, guys. Great thing is the practice, it doesn't let you think too much. Gives you the opportunity to drop into that ecstatic state that says, if this is just me living, I don't have to judge every piece of it. And I can start to appreciate the full expanse of what it is to just be living. And then slowly walk yourself all the way back up, please. Nice job. Plant your feet in front of you. Take your hands back behind you, fingers pointing towards your heels. So there should be a little space between your feet. And then as you press into your hands, scoop into your belly just a little bit, and then lift your hips up off the floor. Come into reverse table. Good. Nice, guys. Really press into those feet. Nice. And now this is an option for if shoulders are okay with this. Keep the left hand down, stretch your right arm up to the sky. And then release that hand down, push down into the right hand, take your left arm up to the sky. Good. Release it down. Press into both hands, feel your heart just rise to the sky. Nice. And then release your hips down to the floor, please. Again, letting the feet come together, knees drop wide, stretch your arms out. Letter T. And then take the right arm on top of the left, wrapping the forearms for eagle. Nice. And just press the forearms together, draw the armpits back, feel your breath move into the back of your heart. If you are someone who's very flexible through their shoulders and you don't feel very much here, you can lift the elbows a little higher. But then remember that you also have to keep the back of your head lifted. And you have to feel that squeeze behind the heart. Good. Release the arms all the way out and wide, letter T. And then take the other arm on top. So left arm on top of right, wrap. As you press the forearms together, look for your wrists and your elbows to be able to be in line with each other. So there's a softness there. So we don't want the arms to curl up towards us too much. We want to maintain that sort of neutral position. And then we can always lift a little higher through the elbows. But again, don't let your hands fall towards your head. Don't let them arc behind you. Nice, you guys. Feel the press of the forearms, but don't get tense here. Getting tense is not a better pose. And it will not convince your shoulders to soften or open any faster, I promise. One more breath, long throat. And then release the arms all the way out. Beautiful. And then release the hands down to the floor, please. Nice job. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to go upside down. There, you're all ready for it. So an opportunity to go upside down, inversion of your choice. If that inversion today is legs up the wall, I will not judge it. You do what you
It's a
do.
good thing.
Legs on the wall is a great inversion, so never judge it. But if it's in you to do a little headstand, handstand, forearm balance, shoulder stand, go for that as well. So an upside down of your choice. If you don't have a wall and you just want to lay on your back and stick your legs in the air or put a block underneath your sacrum, you can always do that. Nice, you guys. Nice, Anju, in the middle of the room, beautiful. Kristen, that blanket for shoulder stand should be facing the other way. So you just want the blanket under the top ridge of your shoulders. Yeah, just turn it or move yourself so that the top ridge of your shoulders is level with the top edge of your blanket. So your head and neck are actually off of the blanket. Nice, you guys. Bring inversions, the discussion before class, and inversions, great way to bring greater circulation to your head. So if you're worried about your hair. Good way to bring circulation to your mind. It is one of the most challenging teachings to realize that all the words that we use in yoga as the end result of a practice like bliss or ecstasy, joy, that is not exclusive to every other experience. That they're actually meant to be states of being where anything that we are going through, anything that we're experiencing becomes part of that. That's why yoga is called yoga, right? It means to actually join or to unite. The more we take ourselves apart, even if we think it's in the service of a yoga practice, we think that it's what we're supposed to do. The more you take yourself apart, the more broken you're going to feel. Stay with it another minute, whatever your inversion is. Really nice work. Nice Lori. Always a fun thing, those last couple of you that are still in headstand. Remember that you want your headstand to feel like at any moment you could push into your hands and actually press your head up off the floor. So just so you remember that you're keeping your arms and upper back really engaged. I know, and with that thought, as you're ready, please go ahead and come down from your inversion, drawing the knees in towards the chest. Come down, no sound if you're up. Really nice, Mark. Nice out, nice. You're in shoulder stand, roll down nice and slow. Pause for a moment. And then let yourself find your way onto your back. If you're in legs up the wall, just bring your knees in towards your chest and move yourself so that you can come away from the wall. If you're in the room with me, heads can turn to face the center of the room. At home, you can be facing whatever way you'd like. Come onto your back. Good. And then bend your knees, please, and plant your feet, hips width apart.
Good. Bend your elbows, fingers pointing towards the ceiling for robot arms. You're pressing down into the upper arms, pressing down into your feet. Start to arch your lower spine. So tip your pelvis towards your heels. So your tail is moving down. It's like you're arching that low part of your belly. So press down through the arms, arch your lower back. Good. And then press down into your feet and drag back. So your butt is on the floor here. Yeah. And you're just doing that little pelvic arch. Good. Now maintain that. Keep pushing into the arms and start to squeeze that space behind the heart. Pull your ribs up towards the sky like you're doing fish pose. Good. Press down into the upper arms. Maybe some of you in this position will even feel that you can actually lift and bring the top of your head towards the floor. It's hard here because your butt is still on the ground. Yeah. But push down. Feel that squeeze behind the heart where you're lifting your ribs, your sternum high, high, high. It doesn't matter how far you get. Just feel. Nice. And then slowly release. Really nice, Becca. Good. Unwind the spine. Pause for a moment. You're going to do the exact same thing. So whether you liked it or not, you're going to come back to it. So when you're ready, reset the arms, fingers pointing up towards the sky. Start with the lower pelvis. So start to arch the lower spine. Good. Getting the groins to go down. Nice. And now press into the upper arms and feel that squeeze behind the heart, like you're drawing your shoulder blades towards the center of your back and pull up. Nice. Really good, Sarah. And then again, some of you might feel that your spine is arcing enough that you can start to lift the throat and take the top of your head to the floor. If that is not the case, stay where you are. Just really work this frustrating fish pose. Good. Nice, you guys. And then slowly release. Feel the unwind of your spine, the relaxing of the ribs and the pelvis. Beautiful. And then your third fish pose, stretch the legs straight out in front of you. Squeeze the legs together. You can point the toes or flex the feet, your choice. It's a little bit more traditional to point the toes, but it doesn't matter. And then you can keep your arms in robot arms if you like this, or you can take the arms to straight, palms facing the floor, and just move those arms so that they are squeezed alongside your side body, right? So you're getting sort of the beginning of that squeeze behind the heart already. Good. Press down into your seat. So already you have to have that sensation of the groins rolling down. And then start to either bend your elbows if your arms are straight as you squeeze behind the heart and lift the sternum up towards the sky, or press down to the upper arms if you're in robot arms and same thing, squeeze behind the heart, lift your chest. So you're just coming into fish. I'm using a lot of words to describe it. Throat gets nice and long, top of the head just touches the floor. For those of you who feel really, really held by the muscles of your back, there's no weight on your head. If you want to take your legs up at an angle, go for it. You have to keep pushing down through your butt. Good. Really nice, you guys. It is not a requirement. One more full breath. Release the legs to the floor if they're lifted. Unwind your spine. Good. Take your arms out from underneath you. Nice job. And then bend your knees, please. Plant your feet. Just rest there for a moment. Constructive rest. You take your arms overhead to hold opposite elbows if you choose, or just let the arms rest. Nice little space between the knees, Mia. Or sorry, Maral. Both of you, actually. Yeah. Yep. So feet should be hips width here. And then careful that you don't let the knees fall wider than your hips. Nice on too. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's written very clearly that it says that we have the right to act in the world, but that the results of our actions are entirely not up to us. And what that means is that to you, something might look like it was a terrible result, but to the bigger picture of the world, it may have moved things in the exact perfect way. And it didn't feel good to you in the moment, but if it was the exact perfect thing that was necessary, and how can we be upset about that, right? And this is our challenge, is that our mind only looks at how we feel about what happens.
We don't always see that what we've done or what happens through us causes this chain reaction where maybe something magnificent happens outside of our vision. So yeah, it's in the practice to not go around trying to start fights with people, to try not to cause harm, to try not to do a whole lot of things. But in those moments when it happens anyway, where you're frustrated and you say something, or you do something, or you were just too tired to notice, trust that even that is going to be turned to something good. And we know that that's true because you have the next breath to try again. The thing that makes you a really great yogi, a great spiritual being, or one who is very dedicated to their spiritual practice, is that you pay attention, even when it's uncomfortable. You are already a great spiritual being just because you exist and you're a soul. That's that flame at the heart. Never dies. So can you offer to that flame at the heart and say, I know that I'm messing this up. I know that I'm saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing. I ate too much sugar. I'm still not a vegetarian. Stayed up too late. Had a drink. Got into a fight. Did all of those things in one day. Can you offer that to your heart? And your heart's answer will say, yeah, this is living. This is living. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it, because that flame of the heart can take it. And it can turn it into something beautiful. And when do you do it? This breath. And if not this one, you've got another one coming. We learn to trust that flame of the heart is not going to dim because we do something that our mind says is not what it should be. And this is the root of how we feel that ecstasy. That nothing in ourselves scares us, and so nothing in the world can take us apart. And even right there, your mind is scared of that too. It's okay, mine too. I just had recent practice wrestling somebody through their fear. So if you want me to come to your house and wrestle you, we'll do it until neither of us is scared anymore. Release your arms, please, if they're overhead. Draw your knees in towards your chest. To me, that's what it means to be in spiritual practice together, is that we wrestle each other with each other until none of us are scared anymore. Come into happy baby, draw your knees wide, reach for your ankles or your feet. Blissful baby. In the Sanskrit, that's what this means. We say happy, but it's really the baby that is blissful, child that is blissful. You can be blissful in crying or screaming, throwing things, breaking things. Take one more breath. And then still holding your feet or your ankles, just start to stretch the legs out to straight. Yep, letting the legs go as wide as they will go. Let your arms go as wide as they will go. Nice, Dina. Good, Jane. Good, Melody. Good, Laura. Nice, Anju. Stretch out through those heels. Press. Yeah. And then bend the knees back into happy baby. One more breath. Keep the low back rooted down to the floor. And then squeeze the knees all the way in towards your chest. Bring your forehead up to meet your knees and hug. And then release the upper body. Stretch your arms out wide, letter T, palms facing down. Keep your knees up, parallel to the floor. And then just scoot your hips over to the left and let your knees drop to the right without using your hands. Come into spinal twist. But keep reaching through that left arm, or stretch the left arm up over the ear if reaching out to the side feels like it's too much.
3/4 of our journey of being human is recognizing what is too much. Come back to center, not using your hands if you can. And then scoot your hips over to the right, let your knees drop to the left. Try to keep your knees truly on top of each other. And then slowly come back to where the knees lift up again without using your hands if you can. Stretch your legs up towards the sky, stretch your arms up towards the sky. Just a full breath. Press down into your low back, press down through the ridge of your top ridge of your shoulders. You pull the arms in, you pull the legs in. Good. And then bend your knees, please. Stretch your legs straight out in front of you. Let your arms come down to the floor, a little wider. So not overhead, just out alongside you. A little wider than your side body. Let your palms turn up. Find your way into Shavasana, fidgeting as little as possible. Okay. Not gonna happen. I said as little as possible, not at all. So set yourself up well, but realize that Shavasana doesn't require you to be in the perfect position. It's the opportunity to get quiet in the position that you're in. Let the body get heavy. Stop trying to hold up that weight. Let your mind get soft. Stop trying to contain it. Let your breath get easy. Don't limit it. And there's nothing else you have to do. Right now, you are practicing perfectly. And I know that because you're here. Breath begin to deepen. Stay where you are. Last thought for you is there's a lovely scene in the Ramayana story of Ram and Sita, and Ram was exiled on the day before he was meant to become king. So he goes to Sita, his wife, and he says, I'm so sorry, but I have to leave you behind. I have to go live in the jungle. It's not safe. She says, how dare you think that you're going to leave me behind? He says, you don't understand. This is not a vacation. It's going to be really awful. She says, you don't understand. I'm going with you. And the way that it is written in some of the texts, she says, and if we're walking through the forest, she says, I will crush the thorns in front of your feet. So this is why we practice, that the ecstasy is not in the circumstances. The ecstasy is that if we are fully engaged in living, and we know who it is that we're living for, living with, and it doesn't matter what's in front of us. We will crush the thorns for each other. And we'll move the things out of the way. And when we fall, we'll pick each other up. And being in practice doesn't mean that none of those things won't happen again. But it means that you are aware and awake to your own living and to the living of others. And so we just keep doing that with each other so that none of us have to be afraid. So whatever you have done or not done this last decade, you're doing it right. And I know that because you're here. So you take another breath. You thank God or whatever you believe is that energy that unites us. I get to try again. Let yourself begin to stretch and move. And as you're ready, draw the knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. And take a moment before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Bringing the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm, and dropping the mind into that heart space where there is that endless flame. So for your Beltane celebration or your May Day celebration, just feed that flame of your heart any way that you can. Take a walk outside, give yourself flowers, eat chocolate, whatever. Go hug someone, hug a goat, whatever you can find. But feed that flame of your heart and don't worry about what else is going on in your life. It's just living. And your heart will handle it. And if it can't do it alone, someone will show up in front of you who will hold your hand, wrestle with you, so that you won't be afraid. Deep breath in for Om. Om. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you guys so much. Really good work today. You survived. Have a great day, a great rest of your week until I see you again. Your heads up, if you are interested in Cheryl and Eileen's retreat in May, you got to make sure that you look at the details. Again, you don't have to go for the whole weekend. Lots of options there. And then keep your eyes open. We've got fun stuff coming up. If you have any interest in teacher training for next year, currently tuition is discounted till the end of May. So if you have interest, come talk to us because it's the cheapest time to do it.
When does it start?
So we'll see you soon. September. Teacher training starts in September if you're interested. So we will see you soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.